Hello, good morning. It's Gaby here from the Grief Cocoon. And today I wanted to talk about guilt and regret in grief. It's such a common experience, but it can be quite debilitating when you're just not sure how to deal with it, or you don't have any tools to actually, I guess, process it and address it. But I know I've definitely felt it with my mum, just the guilt of, not doing certain things or not necessarily being there in the way maybe that I could have, or, there's just countless things that you might think you could have done better, or ideas that in hindsight, would have been good in the moment. But as humans, we tend to, I guess, stumble through things, through new experiences. And when we lose a loved one, or, in my case, it was having my mum be unwell for a number of months. And that was all new to me. And so I guess the first step in actually thinking about guilt and regret is to know that it's normal, that we acknowledge that there is guilt and that there is regrets, and we wish we could have done things better, or we wish we could have maybe talked to someone about things, or we wish we could have not done something. There's just so many sort of variations of it, but acknowledging it for yourself and actually validating those feelings is I guess one of the first things that we can do. Because I don't know many people that don't have any guilt, that don't have any guilt or regret after a loss. And so it's definitely a really normal experience in grief, and it can make grief a bit more complicated, because when a person's here and alive, maybe you can tell them in person how you feel and apologize, or kind of repair things. But after they die, it's difficult to I guess feel like you can resolve those feelings and that sense of guilt and regret. So yeah, I just want to, I guess, let you know that it is normal to feel those things after loss. And if you talk to anyone, I can guarantee you that most people would also be feeling some sort of guilt and regret um, about a loved one, or about, it could be a relationship, or whatever it is that you're grieving. It's totally really common to actually experience the guilt and regret. And following that, I guess once you validate and acknowledge that you're feeling those things, practicing self-compassion becomes really important. And I guess it's something that we hear about, but it's often hard to practice. And I say practice because forgiving yourself or having that compassion for yourself takes practice. And it's not just something that you do once and then it's done. It's something that we kind of need to try again and again and again, and practice, in the real sense of the word, where we keep doing it. We keep doing it regularly until, well, it might be for the rest of our lives, who knows? But, it's just knowing that we are there for ourselves, and that we I guess have a sense that, usually when we make mistakes, or when we have those regrets and we have guilt, when you look back, you probably did the best that you could have done in that time and in that moment. And there might have been particular reasons, subconsciously even, that you chose those decisions. And I guess especially, if your loved one was unwell, like in my case with my mum, I think about I think I had a sense of denial when she was unwell, and so I didn't always rush back to see her. I kind of didn't want to believe that she was that unwell, and so I guess I think I delayed some things, or I didn't. It was things didn't seem that urgent for me at the time, when actually it's because I then that would have made everything more real. That would have made her illness more real. That would have made the condition that she was in more real. And I didn't want to believe that she was that unwell. And so, you know, I still have felt that sense of guilt and regret that maybe I could have done better, or I could have looked after her better. But then also you kind of have to reflect on why, like what the basis of those actions were, or those words were. And you might have, for example, said things that were hurtful at the time, but you might have been feeling hurt yourself, and that's why you said those things. It's not an excuse for, I guess, it's not an excuse for the actions, but it's a reason. And so reflecting on why you might have done those things or said those things can also put it in context, because no one is perfect, and so we do make mistakes, and it is hard to deal with and to acknowledge and to process, because especially when the person is no longer here, we feel like you might feel like you can't make it up to them, because there's no way to do that. And so that's when other things can come into play. But just, yeah, reflecting on why, and also practicing that self-compassion, where reminding yourself that I did the best that I could do in that moment. And if that situation were to happen again, then I would do things differently. And I do have I do have the belief that you can rewrite your wrongs in with other people as well. So, I might have felt guilty about some things with my mum, but then if another member of my family was unwell in that same way, then I tell myself I won't be doing that again. I will do better next time, and I will make an effort to try and accept the reality of what's happening, and not be in denial, which, it's still, there's never any guarantees, but I believe that you can pay it forward to other people, and even people that might have known that person that you lost. You might be able to practice acts of kindness towards them, or help them in ways that you might not have been able to do with your loved one. You might be there for someone else that in ways that you couldn't be there for with your loved one. And it is always bittersweet, because you do wish you could have just been the best that you could have been with your loved one. But at the same time, as we know, you can't reverse the time, and you can't reverse what's happened. You can't rewind the clock. So there is sort of an element of acceptance, in a way, that you acknowledge that you're feeling that sense of regret and guilt, and also acceptance around what happened, and what you did or didn't do, or what you said or didn't say. And that is what it is. You can't replay that. You can't rewind it and do something different. So, and you never know actually what would have been the outcome of doing different things or saying different things, because it's all hypothetical. We in reality can't know. Maybe it wouldn't have really made a difference if we did something different. we can't really know for sure. And, for some people as well, getting it off your chest and talking to someone, that would be another thing that you can do if you find that verbally expressing yourself is helpful, or talking it through with someone, whether it's a good friend or a family member, or whether it's a mental health professional. That can also ease the burden of that guilt and regret. It won't necessarily work for everyone, but if that's something that you think might work and that you want to give it a go, then please do that, because sometimes it helps to get a different person's perspective, and they might offer us insights and a view of the situation that we didn't think of before, and that can really help in how we now view the situation and how we make sense of it. So yeah, the first thing is acknowledge and validate your feelings, because guilt and regret is really common in grief. And the second one is reflection and self-compassion, and putting your behavior, or putting your regrets in context as well, in terms of where you were at, what you were feeling, why you might have done what you did or didn't do what you didn't do. So, and then, just actually being kind to yourself and practicing that self-love and self-care. The third one is talking to someone. If you're someone that likes to talk things through, or if you think that maybe getting a different perspective would help, which in a lot of cases it does, because we tend to have a particular way of looking at the situation, and that we probably usually perpetuate that idea of, or that perspective, because I guess we can only see things from our perspective. And so talking to someone can open up, a different way of looking at things that might be kinder to ourselves, or might be a little bit more fair or more balanced. And talking about balance, actually, another thing that I think that might help with guilt and regret is understanding that that we often hyperfixate on the negatives in a situation or in a relationship, even though, I don't know, it might be most of the time when we're with that person, or that we spent with that person, might have been really wonderful or really loving. But when something goes wrong, it often gets exacerbated, and we really emphasize those things that do go wrong, or those things that we feel weren't the right thing to do, or the things that we said that were hurtful. And so that tends to overshadow all the good memories. And so one thing that can be helpful with guilt and regret is actually, for every time that you think about that thing that you really regret, try and also then come up with a positive memory that you had with that person, and see, and that can create a more kind of balanced view of the situation, because we can punish ourselves for the very few times, or the one time that we did something wrong, when in fact that we have so many other memories or so many other experiences with that person that were positive. And so trying to sort of get a fuller picture of that relationship, or of the experiences that we had with the person, can also help with putting things into perspective, and allowing us to, I guess, giving us permission to have a more fairer, more balanced view of the situation or of the relationship, because everyone, we all do make mistakes, and we all might have things that we wish we could have done better, but then we should also acknowledge and and celebrate all the amazing things that we did, and all the lovely times that we had with someone, because those are also lasting memories, and memories that they left with as well. Um, so lastly, I actually wanted to share some practices, some movement practices that I learned with Paula Dennison, who founded Grief Yoga. And there's a few exercises that I learned from him around guilt and regret, and also love, connecting with love after grief. And so I wanted to share some of those with you today, and I hope that they provide some comfort and solace, because we can often, guilt and regret can often live very much in our heads and in our thoughts. And I found that actually connecting with our body and with the physical, our physical body and our space can be really helpful to actually move emotions around and shift the way that we feel, and help us to refocus and actually have a more kind of embodied experience. And so, just to begin with, I'd like to start with, I invite you to actually have your one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly, and just breathe, just connect with your breath. And perhaps also feel your feet on the floor as well, and sense whether, what you're sitting on, what contact you're making with a chair or a mat that you're sitting on, and just take a few deep breaths. You can close your eyes if you'd like. Now I invite you to slowly drop your arms to your knees, and then start giving yourself a massage. So you can massage your legs, you can massage your arms here, you can massage your neck and your shoulders, wherever you're feeling tension. Maybe during the breathing, you might have felt some tension in your body. And so give yourself a massage. And just sense how that feels. And keep taking deep breaths. And as you're giving yourself a massage, you're welcome to say this affirmation with me. The affirmation is, I embrace the best and worst parts of myself. I embrace the best and worst parts of myself. I embrace the worst and best parts of myself. And from here, I invite you to give yourself a good hug. We often rely on hugs from other people, but sometimes we forget that we can also give ourselves a nice hug too. And while you're giving yourself a hug, you're welcome to say, "May I be forgiving." And this is forgiveness for yourself, or maybe it could be forgiveness towards others as well. Whatever feels more relevant for you. But yes, as you're hugging yourself, think about that phrase, "May I be forgiving," or you can say it out loud, "May I be forgiving." Or you can come up with your own mantras as well. "May I be kind." "May I be loving." "May I be compassionate." "May I be forgiving." And then once you're done with the hug, you can come back. You can put your arms back down on your lap and take some deep breaths. Connect with your body again. And now I invite you to put one hand on your heart, and then with the other one, let me just see if you can see more. So one hand on your heart, and then with the other one, you're going to slowly, palms up, slowly raise it and throw your hand behind you and come back down. Throw your hand behind you. And this exercise is called holding love. And it's about letting go, but it's also about embracing love as well and good memories. So as you're lifting your hand up and throwing it behind you, you might want to think about perhaps the things that you regret or the things that you feel guilty for. And imagine picking them up with your hand and throwing them behind you. Just picking them up and then letting them go, coming back down. Picking them up and letting them go. And then once you're done with that, you can start thinking about loving memories that you had with that person. And you're holding them in your heart. And as you're thinking about the memories, and as you're letting go of the things that you regret and feel guilty for, you can say the words, "Help me. Help me to let go. Help me to forgive. Help me to be kind to myself. And you can direct that towards someone, or if you believe or pray to God, it could be to God, or it could just be putting it out to the universe and asking for help. We can often struggle to ask for help while we're grieving. So it's connecting with that part of you that needs help, that wants help. And because guilt and regret can feel like things beyond us, things that are too big to address. And so we just ask for help. Help me. And now we can start to connect with the things that fill you up, that fill your heart, that make you feel good. And we hold on to them as we continue to let go of the guilt and regret. Continue to let go, and then let go as we hold on to the love and the goodness. And you can continue to ask for help. And I just thought about, with the help me, that could also be directed towards the person that you feel like you want forgiveness from. It could be asking for help from your loved one, asking them to help you forgive, asking them to help you let go. And then as we slow, we can start to release our hands and bring them back. Actually have, maybe bring one hand back on your heart and the other on your belly, and just go back to the breath. I have one more exercise that I'd like to share from the grief movement that I've learned and that I've trained in. So this last one is coming from, based around a Hawaiian proverb, or I guess phrase. It's called Ho'oponopono. And the words of this proverb are, I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And for this exercise, we will bring our arms, palms up, and bring your arms up and out to the front. And then bring your arms back. And as you bring your arms forward, you're going to have your chest go in. And then as you bring your arms out, and down. You're bringing your chest up. So as we do this, we say the words, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. You can keep doing that for a few minutes and really feel the words and direct it towards the person that you feel you need to say those words to. You might want to also visualize them in front of you if that helps. And say the words, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And go at your own pace. Everyone might have their own sort of rhythm, their own pace with the words and with the movement. So this is another exercise that you can come to whenever you need. Whenever you're feeling that regret or that guilt. And once you're done with this, we can bring our arms back down to our knees and connect to our breath again. Take some deep breaths. And these exercises can be done alone or in succession with each other. It's really up to you. They're just tools that you can use in your own time, on your own. And yeah, I hope that they were helpful to you. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Otherwise, I will see you next week. And if you'd like to tune in, it will be the same time next week in the app. So all you got to do, you'll get a notification. So make sure you have your notifications on, and you'll get the notification that I'm about to start. And then if you have any suggestions as well about topics that you'd like me to cover, let me know. But yeah, I thought this one would be a good one because regret and guilt are just so common in grief. So I'll see you next week. And thanks for tuning in. Bye.